of the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line 'em up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey, everybody! Hit the right button. Welcome to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Chris.
And I'm Renee.
And Russ is on his way.
Yes.
He was running late due to work, so Renee is going to jump in and fill in for him while he's on his way, and then she's going to stick around and join us for the rest of the show. So,
Oh, well, at least, more than half at the very least. Depends how the dogs are upstairs. Because if Trevor continues to howl, I might excuse myself to go tend to him.
he stopped howling. So
Okay. Going to bar.
So I just saw something that I'm like, I'm gonna have to look up what that is later. It's Twitch now has a collab cam where you can actually have up to 4 different guests, and it looks like and they can all have their own cameras, and you don't have to use Zoom or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what that is.
That's cool.
Yeah, it might be that they all have to have their own Twitch accounts. Hey CD, hey Auntie Dawn. But yeah, I'm gonna look up what that is later, and yeah, it says stream with friends, guests, and extra cameras. So that could come in handy when somebody has to miss or be remote for Tavern Nights. That might come in.
Yeah,
handy.
that would probably work out a lot better too.
But yeah, so welcome to the show, everybody. Yeah, like I said, Russ is on his way, so we'll start talking, and then we'll get with Russ once he gets on. Oh, that's good to hear. Glad to hear you're doing better every day. Yeah. How was your week?
Busy. Even though I didn't have to work for the bulk of it.
Yeah.
So
you're still on vacation.
I am. Well, I'm technically on my weekend.
Yeah.
Because I naturally have Tuesdays and Wednesdays off.
Yeah, but you're still on your vacation.
Oh yeah, I'm totally still on vacation. Man, taking Monday off was like the best decision we made. Because we've been in Chicago since Thursday for a curling competition. I did work that Thursday morning, but was able to get everything done, get home early enough to drop both the dogs off and get packed, and have them all sorted out. And then you were all set for work, and we drove out to Chicago. We had great weather. Honestly, really lovely drive.
Yeah.
That was in Chicago for that whole week. Got a message on Friday, that Thursday.
It was Thursday, just before we left.
Thursday, that Oma fell and broke her hip. Oma, my grandmother, who is 93. She has 2 pins in her hip. She corrected me today when I visited her. She did have surgery, and she's doing great. She's in rehab now. She broke her hip at our property up north, and had surgery up north. She's now down here.
Your computer
in rehab.
just restarted on its own.
It's ghosts. It's possessed. It
It's
just
updating.
does that. Oh well. Convenient. And then on Friday, so that was Thursday right before we left. On Friday, Oma's younger sister, my Tante Daisy, also fell. She, however, did not break her hip. She bruised so badly that they had to drain it, and then she needed a blood transfusion.
Holy crap.
Yeah. The woman's diabetic. I know she takes blood thinners. And just kind of overall kind of a mess, even though she's 8 years younger than Oma. Oma's way younger than Tante Daisy type scenario. But she's also at the same rehab center, so I visited both of them today. They are honestly both doing really well. Like Oma looks really good. She's super talkative. She tried convincing me to smuggle in salt for her because she's on a low sodium diet, and the food is too bland, which I thought was hilarious.
Wow, too bland for Oma.
The woman loves her salt.
Wow,
She
okay.
loves salt. She loves salt.
That's one of the three spices.
Yeah, well, 4: salt, pepper, garlic, and paprika.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was that. It's one of those, like, it was weirdly busy, but also weirdly not busy because we were in Chicago having fun, but curling was exhausting. Overall, very happy with how I personally played. Overall, I thought we did really well as a team. We just had better teams. Like, no joke, that first team we played against, every member had been curling longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, well, we played, our first game was against the team that eventually won everything.
Yes.
That won the tournament.
They didn't lose a game.
Yeah, they didn't lose a game.
But literally every single player had been curling longer than I have been alive. One of them has been curling longer than you had been alive.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad to losing to that team. I feel like we should have had the second game. Like, we were on par with them.
Yeah. We didn't get the breaks.
Yeah, whereas they did. Overall, great game. And even that third game, we had to do back-to-back games. And
he started curling when he was 12, I think he said.
Yes. Well, the one started when he was 12.
Yeah.
I think both of them were juniors, actually. So they started 10, 12. The one started in 1968.
Yeah.
But had to take 7 years off because he was living with his dad in Florida. So he's only been curling for 48 years.
Yeah, I think he's in his early 60s or early 70s. I mean.
Yeah.
No ice in Florida.
No ice in Florida.
Yeah, there is. There's actually a lot of curling clubs in Florida. There's also hockey teams in Florida.
There is now.
Yeah.
I feel like back in the early 70s, maybe not the case.
Oh, yeah.
So, but then we, drove back Sunday. Also had lovely weather. No real traffic. Made great time. And took Monday off, which was a fantastic decision. We sat and did nothing.
Yeah.
We watched TV and caught up on shows.
Yeah, especially since you have Tuesday, Wednesday off.
Exactly. So I took Monday off. So I took Sunday. So because of my schedule, I did have to take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off and use PTO time, as well as Monday. But Tuesdays and Wednesdays are naturally my days off. So I took Monday off and just rolled right into my weekend. And it's been great. Today I was super busy. I did all the running around. I went grocery shopping for the first time in like a month, and holy crap, we had no food, but we knew we were going out of town. I went and visited Oma. I bought a new pillow at Sleep Number because we had a $100 gift card, and I got a brand new pillow for $1.26. And then I had class. So.
And now you're on the show having a drink.
And now I'm on the show. It's like, Rosa's gonna be late. I'm like, I'll log on. I got you, babe.
But yeah, it was a good weekend.
Yeah.
I was pretty happy.
Honey? We pretty much did the exact same things.
Yeah, I curled pretty well. I made some really good shots.
You did. Your double takeout to set one on the was a really pretty shot.
That was probably my shot of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just had to get by that guard. I just barely got in, and I hit it perfect.
You did.
It did exactly what I drew it up to do. Clappy wasn't sure we could do it. I'm like, I think we can.
Yeah, it was totally there. You had sweepers. Your delivery looked great over the weekend because that's the other thing. We had hot shots about 6 weeks ago. So they completely dissected our deliveries and told us everything we were doing wrong, which was a lot, apparently, for both of us. Completely separate problems, mostly because you're super tall and I'm super short. But we both had critiques in our delivery. I implemented 4 of like the 8 things I learned because the others I'm just like, it's not the time nor the place to implement these last 4 things, specifically the new broom hold. I've been holding the broom one way for 9 years. That's going to be the hardest thing for me to adjust. Your delivery looked great, and you were super stable and everything.
Yeah, I implemented basically 3 of the things that they pointed out to me. Well, 2, and I was working on the 3rd. But I still have a few more I got to try and do when we actually start curling at the club. I've actually got the Draw Masters meeting this week.
Okay.
So I have to go for that. Going for that. That'll be just an hour or 2, talking about the leagues. But yeah, overall had a great weekend. Met some cool people.
Mm-hmm.
Had a good time. It was cool to hang out with.
That first team was a lot of fun to hang out with.
What's that?
The first team was a lot of fun to hang out with.
Oh, the older guys?
Yeah,
they were real serious on the ice, but then, the skip was real serious on the ice, and then once it came off, he was really cool.
We didn't get to hang out with the second team because we had to stay out on the ice because we had back-to-back games, which sucks.
But it was cool hanging out with Clappy and Dennis and all that. So good time. Unfortunately, no game on Friday. It would have normally been our Tavern Nights game. I've got some stuff planned for the next one, which will be not this Friday, but the following Friday, the 28th, 10 days from now. 10 days.
Tis the season.
Yeah. It will be our Halloween episode. I don't see us doing costumes like what I'm seeing Critical Role doing for their show. But
there might be costumes.
There might be some costumes, but they're not like to the level of Critical Role.
No, we have to make them ourselves. They pay people.
Yeah. And I am using one of my latest birthday present, because my birthday's just getting extended for over a month now.
Hey, it took time to make.
Yeah, I know.
And the fact that I found it after your birthday.
Right. But I'll talk about that in just a minute. But overall, good week. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking Gin Stash by Rusted Crow. It's a gin that is distilled by Rusted Crow out of Dearborn Heights, Michigan. I don't know if they distribute outside the state. I feel like they do, but I'm not 100% sure. But they went for coolest bottle art.
Hey, here comes Russ.
Hey, Russ.
As long as he doesn't sound like a chipmunk when he comes on.
Yeah. Super cool bottle art. This is a gin that I only drink on the rocks. It is not a mixing gin. It has a lot of botanicals in it. Not super juniper-y.
It's got a lot of botanicals.
Yes.
And you can talk to botanicals.
Do you talk to the botanicals?
I'm not that good. I wish I could talk to the botanicals. But it's a lovely gin. I only drink it on the rocks or straight because with how heavy it is in botanicals, it wouldn't mix well with olive juice, or it might mix well with lavender.
Okay, what exactly does that mean when you say it's got a lot of botanicals in it?
So in the distilling process, so gin usually starts off as very similar to a vodka. It's just alcohol. It's just ethanol. Okay. And then gin will have juniper berry. I know what Valentine does. So it'll have juniper berry, orange zest specifically, and shucks. Yeah.
Some of them do things like elderflower and I mean they mix in other plants to give it flavor. Okay. Instead of hopping it like they hop beer to give it that type of flavor. It's
you can throw in orange, you can throw in almond, you can do a whole bunch of different things. Usually juniper berry is in almost everything.
That's the piney flavor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's one of the classic botanicals. And I know with Valentine, and looking at my glass here, it looks like, oh no, there's actually particulate matter at the bottom. So Rusted Crow probably doesn't do this. So when they actually distill the gin, they, instead of steeping orange peel in the straight ethanol, the alcohol will actually pull a lot of the vitamin C out of it, and then vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid, will ultimately combine with another botanical, I can't remember which one, but it will actually combine with another chemical within gin. When it's cooled, and you'll actually get like particulate matter that falls out. So what Valentine does, and any very like really good gin, that I believe they should all do this, while they're distilling, they actually take the steam and run it through like a hopper to pull the orange flavors without pulling any of the ascorbic acid during the distilling process, and they actually just loop it to get the flavor to the point that they want, and then we'll add everything else once it's condensed. Instead of like steeping the orange peel, they actually like steam the steamed vaporized alcohol through it, which is really cool. Because then you don't get the particulate matter because the ascorbic acid is left behind. Yay, chemistry.
I was gonna say, boy, you just scienced the hell out of us there.
I love science.
It's science.
Adoy.
What about you, Russ? Are you drinking anything tonight?
I'm not. I didn't have time. I don't have time for shit. I
Yeah.
don't have time to take a shit. I have to give a shit. I don't take anything.
Yeah.
I am like last night, Stella and I were talking about stuff, and I'm like, Stella, you do realize that I have zero time to do anything right now. Like zero, like absolutely no time, because I am working 12-hour days, and I am like, today was actually, I left there at 6:45 or 7:45, give or take. So today was about a 10-hour day. Yeah, thereabouts. I've got Theater Bazaar on the weekends for like just last weekend, this coming week. I don't have time to go to a liquor store. I don't have time to go to the grocery store. I don't have time.
Do you need someone to go shopping for you? Because I have tomorrow off.
I'm okay. I'm thinking about like just doing like one of those like
Delivery services.
Yeah, having what's it called? Like Kroger delivery or something.
Yeah.
Because like it's just crazy how much stuff we got going on.
I pulled up a quick list of common botanicals found in gin. Juniper berry, coriander seeds, angelica root, citrus peel, orris root, casa, cinnamon, almond, cardamom, kabeb berries. I don't even know what that is. Grains of paradise, ginger, licorice, and nutmeg. They can all be found in gin. That's the nice thing about gin. You can they're not all going to be the same. People find their recipe, and that's what they stick with. This one is light. This one is light on the juniper, which I think appeals to a lot of people. A little heavier on the cinnamon. So.
Well, I'm
gin
drinking.
Stash.
I'm
Yeah,
drinking.
What you drinking?
I am drinking. Dragon's Milk Origins, I believe, is what you got me. Renee poured me the drink because she wanted it to be a surprise, because she told me I had to drink like bourbon or something.
You had to have a hard.
Yeah, I had to have some sort of hard alcohol drink. Now, I've drank this on the show before, so this isn't a new one. But the reason, and I can't show it off now because it's mostly melted, but was because of the ice cube that was in here. As part of my birthday present, she got me an ice cube tray, but not just an ice cube tray. It's one of the big square ones for like mixed drinks, things like that, and not just a big square one for the mixed drinks and stuff, but a personalized one that has the Nerds with logo emblem on it.
What?
The Nerds with alcohol emblem on it.
What?
Yeah, so
I will.
We got our own ice
on
cubes now.
Discord after the show.
It's freaking cool.
I found it like the day after Chris's birthday. It was advertised on my Facebook. I'm like, oh, you're perfect. Why weren't you here a month ago? So I immediately like screenshotted the logo off of Facebook, sent it in, and ordered it, and I've been waiting for it to come in this whole time. And what was really, the company was really cool to work with. It's called, I think it's called Seagrams. I'll pull up all the info CD for you. They were really awesome to work with. Like they actually sent me Siligrams. So it's SILIGRAMS. And yeah, they do custom ice cube trays. And so I sent them the PDF or the JPEG of the emblem, and they actually sent it to me to make sure that I verified like it was everything I wanted as the 3D model that they sent me, and I approved it, and they went ahead and made it. They were super awesome.
And it turned out fantastic, actually.
I'm really, really pleased with how well it turned out. And I can post all the info on the Discord page because they were super cool. They weren't cheap. I mean, it was like $100 for four ice cube tray, but and also like the big ice cubes too. So they had the different sizes of like a half inch, inch and a half. I think I went with the 2-inch one, the largest one they had, like a good sized ice cube for your bourbon.
And NWA stepping up the alcohol content today. I mean, when Russ isn't in, I guess it's easy.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah. Cool. Yeah, thank you again, Renee, for that, because that
You're
was
welcome. I'm glad you
incredible.
like it.
Yes, I think it's fantastic. I saw it and I went, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, we'll get pictures out on the Discord channel. So one nice thing this week, I didn't hear about any big celebrity deaths that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Robbie Coltrane. I forgot about that.
But this was like yesterday or the day before, so it's kind of fresh. Yeah, Robbie Coltrane died.
Yeah,
Hagrid.
R.I.P. Hagrid.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I've seen a ton of that. So
now the drag that I've been hearing about it, unfortunately, people have been trolling, and not trolling him so much as just bringing up the fact that he, I guess, was very supportive or was somewhat supportive of J.K. Rowling and her opinions on trans people and stuff, and him or her being like a TERF and whatnot. But at the same time, but people tend to forget that he was also very active in like environmental causes, and he was very active. Like the dude was very active in a lot of like positive things about the world and about the earth and whatever else. But he was also an older guy, an older British dude, you know, that maybe had some more.
I don't know if it was that he supported her views versus he supported her right to choose type scenario.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Like everyone's entitled to their opinion, so he didn't condemn her views like a lot of the rest of the cast.
Maybe that was it. I don't know. But I
don't know a lot about it.
Yeah,
I've been seeing things like that too, but I'm under the impression it was more like he didn't condemn her views for being a TERF, nor really supported. He was more neutral on the stance.
Okay, well, that's fine if you don't want to. If he doesn't want to necessarily take a strong stance on a very divisive subject, that's his choice as well. But it was sad though. I mean, he was 72. I mean, so it wasn't a young man, but he was, he wasn't ancient either. He wasn't, what's her name who died last week? Murder, She Wrote.
Oh, Angela Lansbury.
Exactamundo. Who she was like 95 or something like that. Might even be a little older. So it was a bit of a drag. What?
Everybody froze.
Oh yeah, you froze up. Oh, there you are.
Oh, there you are. Okay, we have you.
Am I back?
Yeah,
you're back.
Are we back?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, drinks to Robbie Coltrane. Hey, Hagrid. Thank you for what you brought to us. It's great. Thank you.
So Morta Demos says that he heard you died, Russ, but pre-recorded all your NWA content for the next few years.
Well, it wouldn't be surprising. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate the backup. It's a clever deep fake. Anywhere Angela Lansbury went, people died.
Who's the reporter when he shows up? You need to get out of town.
Oh, it's that's the guy from
Other channel.
Weather Channel. Yeah, it's
yeah.
if oh shit, I'm blanking on his name. I just said it the other day because when the hurricane, or a couple weeks ago when the hurricane was hitting Tampa, I was asking my boss if he had shown up, because if he did, he needs to get the hell out of town. Jim Cantori.
Yeah, that was it. And yeah, because Caroline Jett, she had made a post saying that he had showed up, and people were like, "Oh God, head for the hills, get the hell out of town, man."
Yeah, well, I remember there was one time I was in Louisville, and he was in Michigan for a snowstorm. He was standing at the corner of like 16 Mile and Livernois. I'm like, I know where that is. I'm like, holy shit! Everybody, get the hell out of Michigan!
Get the hell out!
It's the snowstorm of the century. I think they got like 16 inches of snow.
Well, I did hear, yeah, like up in the UP, we got like some pretty serious. They're getting like 16, 18
dude,
inches.
Today, one of our we have an office in Traverse City, and we lost connection to it. So I called up a guy that's up there, and I said, "Hey, are you in the office?" He's like, "I was." There's no power, and I went, "Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure of." I said, I saw that you guys are getting some pretty nasty weather." He's like, "Yeah, I woke up to 1.5 inches of snow on the ground this morning."
Yeah,
and then it started raining.
Yeah. My girlfriend who lives in Marquette has had snow for well over a week.
Jeez, I mean that's early. I mean, I think that's got to be early. Even
it's more like it snows and melted. It snowed and melted. It snowed and melted. Mm-hmm. It's Marquette, like
yeah.
It's what you get for living in Marquette.
Yeah, for sure.
She loves it up there. They're homesteading it.
Well, all right. So my week was I had. Over the weekend,
we already done that, Russ.
I'm going to tell you anyway.
You missed
tell us about Theater Bazaar.
You missed it. See, if you were on time, you'd get to talk about your week, but now you don't get to talk.
Hey, I think you dropped. What I said. I was like, yeah.
I got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Winkle just a top digit too.
Like, what was it?
So creepy.
Oh!
let me turn this up. Oh, is that what that does? I didn't know.
Sorry, I have no idea what this did.
It was a very crazy weekend, and Theater Bazaar was pretty. We roared back into the Masonic Temple, and it was pretty awesome. We sold out, like I'd mentioned before. We had sold out. Although from what I understand, I heard that they did drop the capacity because of COVID, whatnot, but didn't feel like it because we were still fucking full. And it was pretty incredible though. I mean, I will say one thing though, like I did 9 hours of makeup on Friday and 13 hours of makeup on Saturday. And then I went into the party and climbed a lot of stairs at the Masonic Temple. For those of you who've not been there are a lot of stairs. There's 8 floors that we take up, and so there are a lot of fucking stairs. And I got out of my car when I came home, and it was like 4 a.m, and I get out of my car, and all of a sudden both of my legs cramped up so bad that I pretty much fell over. Like I was like it was a muscle in the fronts of my thighs.
Your quads.
It was one of my quads, but it was weird because I was like, I don't think I've ever felt that muscle cramp up before to this, like I couldn't walk. I was like, I was walking like a marionette, and I'm like, what is this? How I get into the house. I'm barely able to get in the house. And I'm like, and then I realized, shit, I dropped one of my gloves. And I was like, shit, I got to go back out. And I go back out. There's it is by the door of the car. I'm like, shit. And I get my glove and I come back in the house and Stella's standing there. She's like, what the hell is the matter? I woke her up out of a dead sleep. I'm like, I can't walk. I was completely like, I mean, I just like.
You need to drink electrolytes on those long days.
Dude, must have been dehydrated because I've never cramped up like that. My legs are still sore today from Saturday.
The holodeck might be fake, but dehydration is real.
Bo shizzle. It was rough, but we did.
That sucks. Muscle
some
cramps
great
are the
work.
worst.
Oh man, yeah, we did some great work. Oh, well, that was the thing. Like Friday night when I came home, I cramped up too, and it woke me up out of a dead sleep. Now that's terrible, man. You wake up out of dead sleep.
You need to drink some electrolytes, sir.
I need to eat a banana, man. I have a short of potassium. So
potassium,
anyway,
calcium.
the whole thing.
They work together.
I'm going to bring Gatorade.
You need both.
I'm not going to just bring Pepsi this time. I'm bringing Gatorade.
Did you have any water in that like 15-hour day?
I drank liquid.
I didn't ask liquid.
Liquid is different.
Liquid is different. Was any of it water?
Liquids. Probably some of it. I can't remember.
There's water in Pepsi.
There's water in
Pepsi. It's one of the ingredients.
That doesn't count. Pepsi's a
Yes.
diuretic because of the
Soda
caffeine
is bad, yes.
and sodium.
So yeah, but overall it was pretty incredible, and walked around with a couple of friends. A friend of mine who'd never been, she was brought by two other friends, and she was just like the whole time just like
It is honestly breathtaking. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I've been seeing a ton of photos. Looked like everyone had a blast. I actually have apparently a bunch of friends who work it.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
circus community.
Yeah, from your aerial stuff, yeah, for sure. So yeah, it was pretty great. I mean, for those of you guys who, out of state or people that have never been, and if you can, check it out. Next year we are. It's what plants crave. God damn it, Sean.
God.
I
feel
electrolytes.
That hits a little closer to home now.
It's what plants crave.
Now I did see that somebody's making some allegations against Zombo.
Okay. Now to clarify this, Zombo is a fictional character.
Well,
he is the
yes.
He is the centerpiece, the center character among the lore of Theater Bizarre.
Yes.
Now, what happened is about 10 years ago or so, Kate, who's been being very vocal about what happened, she dated somebody that was on that was on staff at Theater Bizarre and still is on Theater Bizarre, at staff at Theater Bizarre, and has levied allegations against him, saying that that he was manipulative and abusive, at least on some level. She was 18, he was 28. He was very apparently very
the way she made
controlling.
It started before she was 18.
Apparently she had said something to the effect of that they met when she was 17 and then started dating when she was 18. But then
when she turned 18, he called her legal touch.
Yeah, or something like that. That's pretty gross, I will admit.
Yeah.
Now, me personally, I don't really know the guy very well. We've interacted because we have both been on at Theater Bizarre. Like I said, I don't know him very well. This is something that happened a long time ago, from what I understand, and I don't believe that any official charges were brought against him or anything, and so I don't
someone on staff, not necessarily the creator.
No, it's not the creator. It is not John Donovan. It is not John Donovan at all.
Okay.
But it was somebody it is somebody on staff, and it's one of those things that, well, I don't have any control over any of that stuff. It's not up to me. I believe that it has been addressed on a management level, and I believe that they are. I don't know if they're going to take steps or whatever else, but again, it was something that was talked about that has happened a long time ago, and whether the question was brought up is whether somebody should be, canceled or should lose his or her job because they had a shitty relationship or they did shitty things in a relationship. I mean, I'm not.
Depends on what those shitty things were.
Sure.
Yeah.
And she has talked about. I read the post. I mean, Kate is a Facebook friend. I worked with her. I met her right around that time, about 10, 12 years ago. I think it was about 12 years ago. And she was like 18 and seemed to be very impressionable or whatnot. I don't know. So please, for those of you who are,
I want to say I think I met
it,
her right about the time she was 18ish too.
She's a pretty well-known burlesque dancer in the area. For those of you guys who are concerned, once again, this was not the creator of Theater Bazaar. This is somebody that is and has been on staff at Theater Bazaar, and from what I understand, that they are addressing it, but I don't know all the details.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, Theater Bazaar is made up of a lot of people. It's not just one person. It's not just it's a huge community and a huge group of people that come together to make it. So it's there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm gonna boycott it, or I'm not gonna go anymore. And I was like, you're not gonna go because one person, because and because somebody made some allegations. It's doing a disservice to everybody else that comes together to make Theater Bazaar happen. So like I said, the individual in question, there has been conversation about it, but I don't know what exactly they intend to do. So that's all I can say, really.
Okay. So on to some other stuff.
I'll tell you later.
The news has come out that it is official that Harrison Ford is joining the MCU as General Thaddeus Thunderbolt
this is
Ross.
official?
It is official. As of yesterday, I saw
Okay.
that it is official. He will be Thunderbolt Ross. And his first appearance is going to be Captain America: New World Order.
Sweet.
That's okay, so I'm cool with that, but at the same time I'm also like, I mean, Harrison Ford, as much as I have always appreciated Harrison Ford, I mean, he's always been, he's fucking Han Solo and Indiana Jones, man. I adore Harrison Ford. I just would have liked to have seen somebody that was just a smidge older. It's just a smidge younger to play that role.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford
he is 80.
Like 80.
He's 80.
And this is also a character that potentially could eventually be the Red Hulk, and that means some green, not green screen, but some motion capture acting. And I could just see, the behind the scenes stuff of Harrison Ford in a mocap suit, or at the very least in a mocap, like his face in the mocap face, and trying to be the Red Hulk
with like the dots all over him. And
yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I just don't see it. I don't understand,
Wearing that whole getup with the camera on his shoulders that's out just over his face. Just
I don't plan on prejudging I'm not going to judge until I see it, because honestly, I thought Heath Ledger was a terrible pick for the Joker, and I was very, very wrong when I saw the movie.
Okay,
he was spectacular.
I don't think necessarily Harrison Ford is a bad pick for the role of Thunderbolt Ross. I think he'd be fine.
I think he'd be a great pick 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I just think
the fact that he's 80.
He's 80, and this is a character that could potentially be around for a while.
Yeah, they have a whole movie coming up.
And and that movie isn't going to be filmed for a while. And then on top of it too, like, he could show up again. I mean, Thunderbolt Ross has showed up, and he was in Civil War. He was in his last appearance, I believe the actor's last appearance was in the Black Widow movie. So
pretty sure he was in Ant-Man and Wasp.
It might have been. I can't remember.
Thought he was on the council. He's kind of like in the background.
I think the last appearance of the character was in Black Widow, which came after the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp. But it was just,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
been in the
Thunderbolt
Hulk.
Ross.
He's been in
showed up.
in other.
He's a
in other
reoccurring
movies.
character.
Yeah.
Has been around for a while.
Yeah. So it's like, I just would have liked maybe somebody in their 60s or maybe,
Yeah.
you know, to play.
I
the
get it.
character. So they're around.
It's easier to make him look older. It's a little harder to make him look younger.
Sure.
Although they did a
And,
good job with Mark Hamill.
They did a good job with
Sure.
Mark Hamill, and they did a spectacular job with Anthony Hopkins in Westworld.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
forgot
Like
about
that
that.
was some of the best reverse aging I had ever seen.
Well, the digital work for that is pretty impressive. It is
Yeah.
pretty impressive. But yeah, that's cool. I mean, like I said, I mean, think Harrison Ford. I mean, I'm sure he could play a grizzled, you know, army colonel or general that is that's angry and chasing after the Hulk. It's just the fact that, I mean,
I feel like Harrison Ford does angry really well.
sure. But
And fed up really well.
Can he play, you know, can he do all of the have you seen his interviews? Harrison Ford don't give a fuck. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. But yeah, seeing him in a mocap suit or trying to see,
He belongs in a
I just-
museum.
yeah, it belongs in a museum. What's it? It's pretty old. He will last, but maybe retire. Yeah, I agree. CD, he's probably gonna retire. You know, I mean, he's gonna. I don't know.
That's my
Wants to get
concern
that
is
sweet-
that it's not so much that he's gonna die; it's that he's gonna be like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and and just retire from acting.
Wants a sweet Marvel money, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
He
That
might
is-
as well
well-
get the Disney trifecta now.
I don't know. Is Indiana Jones on the Disney?
It is now. It's because it was, I believe it was 20th Century Fox,
Oh yeah, yes.
so they own it.
At Star Wars, now Marvel. He just wants to complete the Triforce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or he's getting all the stones.
yeah. You have him in his gauntlet. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if they get membership rings. Like Super Bowl.
Wouldn't that be awesome? You get
Would
big, you know,
be.
for every Avengers movie, you get another ring.
Or every like section of Disney that you've worked in, like so everyone in the Marvel, you get the Marvel ring, and then like if you jump ship into the animation and DreamWorks realm, you get that like
You get a ring.
You get a ring for Star Wars. You get a
yeah, you get a ring for Star Wars because like Ming-Na Wen, is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ming-Na Wen.
She plays the voice of Mulan.
Mhm.
She's a Disney princess.
Right.
She
She was
in
on
Star
Agents-
Wars.
She was in Star Wars, and she was on Agents of Shield.
and Agents of Shield.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
she's got 3 of them.
Wow, I didn't think about that. But yeah, she's actually probably one of the few, I guess,
Mhm.
that probably has that trifecta.
Yeah.
Wow.
What other properties does Disney own?
Yeah. EGOT. Yeah, she's kind of the EGOT.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought of something and I totally lost it. It was something that I don't even have on my list that I was going to bring up.
Excuse me.
But Friday's a big day. This Friday is a
Why?
huge day for a lot of things.
Why is that?
Well, we've got Black Adam coming out.
Yeah, actually, what are you guys doing tomorrow night?
I got cornhole tomorrow night.
Do you want to skip it?
Yes.
Because I have free tickets to see Black Adam.
Oh,
I'll go.
let me check with my my cornhole partner.
I mean, I
and,
technically
that he
have,
can get.
I have class with Belmont, but
Yeah,
I
you
can
do.
be a bad mama and not take them like I did last week.
Oh, so
Sad.
you didn't take him last week either.
We got to
Nope.
check. We got to check in at 6. Well, we have to be there no later than 6:45. Check in by 6:45 at the Troy MJR.
Oh, it's an MJR, honey.
It's an MJR.
I'll deal with it.
Fucking, I hate that shit.
I hate it so much.
It's free to see Black Adam 2 days
That's
early.
the thing, yeah, totally.
Yeah, but see, I'm a part of the stubs, the A list, so I get a free movie a week anyway, or like three free movies a week anyway.
What the fuck?
So I looked up how many people have gotten the EGOT, and want to take a guess how many people?
I don't know.
7.
8.
17.
Oh, okay. A little bit more than I thought.
Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg is one of them.
The EGOT, what is that? That's the
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won. It's the you've won all the awards.
She probably with a Grammy, it was probably like a comedy album or something.
It was 2000. It was in 2002. Looks like she got the Tony the same year. It was probably for Sister Act.
Yeah. Maybe.
She got her Oscar in 1990, her Grammy in
Did Whoopi Goldberg
86.
actually do Sister Act on stage?
I'm guessing because she also got he got completed in 2002. She got a Tony and the Emmy in the same year, so I'm guessing it's for the same role. So whatever she was in 2002.
Well, but those are two different things. Emmys are going to be for.
Okay, so Whoopi Goldberg. Let's run through them real quick. We can't probably go through all of the awards, but I'm kind of curious.
Richard Rogers. So in order: Richard Rogers, Helen Hayes.
Who the fuck is Richard Rogers?
No idea. Someone who completed it in 1962.
Okay.
So Helen Hayes.
Okay.
Rita Moreno.
Oh, Rita Moreno. Okay, that makes sense.
John Gielgud.
Sure.
Audrey Hepburn. No surprise.
Okay.
Marvin Hamlish.
Okay.
Jonathan Tunick. Mel Brooks.
Oh.
Mike Nichols. Whoopi Goldberg.
I knew Mel Brooks had done it.
Yeah. Scott Rudin. Robert Lopez. Andrew Lloyd Webber. Tim Rice. John Legend. Alan Menken. And Jennifer Hudson.
Huh.
Jennifer Hudson just completed hers in 2002. I'm sorry, 2022. She completed it this year.
Interesting. All right, that's cool.
Yeah, fun facts.
Whoopi Goldberg was the first Black woman to win all 4 major awards.
Oh wow.
Can't find what she actually won it for though. Oh wait, here
well, you could maybe look up on her IMDb page. It should list her awards.
Yeah, this is what it is. Let's see. So she got Best Actress for Color Purple and Best Supporting Actress for Ghost. Those are her Oscars. Her Grammy is Best Comedy Album. She got it in 86 and 89 for 2 different albums. The Tonys, in 2002 it was Best Musical, Thoroughly Modern Millie.
Oh, she was a writer. She was she directed or wrote it. Yeah.
And Primetime Emmy, would have been Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama. Oh, she was only nominated, never won a Primetime Emmy, but a Daytime Emmy she won for Outstanding Special Class Special Beyond Terra: The Extraordinary Life of Hattie McDaniel.
Okay.
And for The View.
Yeah, because like Andrew Lloyd Webber would have won by being a director or a writer for all of his.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the producers or directors of the movie for Phantom of the Opera, as well as the original musical, and all of that.
So, yeah.
Cool.
But anyway, along with Black Adam, which we'll talk about in just a minute, some more in a minute, Gotham Knights comes out. That's
right.
Which I can't wait for that.
I heard some people were pissed because apparently it locks you in at 30 frames per second. 30 FPS,
Hmm.
and on the PlayStation and on the Xbox, and they want to, and some of, I guess some video games will allow you to go 60, and you can adjust the settings to sacrifice frame rate for you can just adjust settings, and apparently this game, it locks you in at 30. So there are some people there are a bunch of people have been canceling their pre-orders or whatever. I'm like, give me a goddamn break. Really?
Still better than most movies, like back in 35 millimeter land.
I plan on picking it up Friday, so
35 millimeter land was 24 frames per second.
I will probably get it. I probably won't get it right away because it's gonna be a while before I'm gonna get a chance to even play it. So
I got nothing to play on my PS5 right now other than FIFA, and I don't have to take that all the time.
What?
I haven't got any other games other than Forbidden West and FIFA.
Yeah, I haven't.
Skyrim.
I haven't
no
played
CD.
ever
I'm not
since-
getting Skyrim for it. I've got Skyrim on my computer.
Ooh, but Skyrim on PS5 I can play.
There you go. There you go.
I haven't played it. I boycotted it for a long time,
Yeah.
but for personal reasons.
on that big ass TV.
God damn.
Fun.
Absolutely.
So he said VR by the headset.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to exercise during my games though.
When I get a VR, that's one of the first games I'm gonna get is I'm gonna rebuy Skyrim again. And probably Fallout 4 again.
Has The Witcher, Witcher 3 been
it has not been updated. You can play it, but it's the same as the PS4.
I'm fine with that as long as I can play it on whatever system we have attached to our TV.
I believe we can actually load up. It might even be on there. It may have transferred over from the PS4.
Because I need to start over on it.
They did say that I believe they are working on an updated version for the new systems. I think that's unnecessary.
Well, they're working on the new stuff too, so I don't know how much effort they're going to put into the old one when they're working on the new one.
I mean, The Witcher 3 is considered one of the best video games ever made.
It is, correct. So yeah.
But also on Friday, there's a new show coming out on Prime that I'm really looking forward to called The Peripheral. The
Peripheral?
Yeah, it's basically a VR sci-fi
oh wait, I think I heard about
fantasy thing. It's actually based on a William Gibson novel that I didn't know existed. William Gibson is one of my favorite authors. He is considered the godfather of cyberpunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
His trilogy of Neuromancer, Burning Chrome, and Mona Lisa Overdrive is one of the best series I've read.
I need to read it.
I truly love that whole thing. I only own one book. I borrowed the other two. Actually, I might have Neuromancer now. I know I've got it on Kindle. But yeah, just fantastic series. I've heard a lot of complaints about his other stuff, saying it wasn't nearly as good. But this is based on one of his other novels, and it looks really cool. It's basically a world inside of VR. It's like the Oasis,
right?
And they're placing it like it's 70 years after the time you think it is. Whatever time you log in, it's 70 years in the future, and it looks really cool. And it's going to be like this whole mystery sci-fi thing going on.
Okay. Sounds pretty awesome to me. I'm in.
But yeah, it premieres. I guess it comes out technically Thursday at 11 is what they said, but everything I'm seeing is Friday for that. So I'm looking forward to that one. And I got something that kind of ties into that a little bit for later on. But yeah, Black Adam. I'm looking forward to this, very much so.
See, I am as well. Unfortunately, like this is another situation where the internet is toxic and awful, because a lot of the reviews are across the board. Like IGN did a particularly harsh review about that you know, just that it's more or less that it's uninspired. It says Black Adam strikes out. What does it mean to be a hero? The question posed by Black Adam's DC's origin story about a super violent anti-hero, but struggles to find the answer amid a tiring string of nonstop action scenes. That's one thing that I have heard, that it's very action-packed and very like
lacking in story.
Just that it's really, I mean, pretty. It's very, you know, beautiful. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson stars as a powerhouse from ancient times, but explodes into the present day with a bad attitude and lots of flashy lightning effects. But unfortunately, he's not the only thing from the distant past. The whole movie feels like it was made a few decades ago, before the golden age of superhero movies, and carries none of the wisdom Hollywood has learned from the likes of Dark Knight and Iron Man. It's made clunky by too much exposition. The villain is one-dimensional. There's an over-reliance on spectacle over character and story. There are some flashes of brilliance here and there, largely thanks to the members of the JSA. But overall, Black Adam fizzles out. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. It still looks fucking awesome to me.
Yeah, I agree with CD, though, is that if DC can't win with The Rock, they're going to have to reboot the whole damn thing again.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
And that's the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Well, they've been more or less saying that this is kind of the beginning of a new kind of era for this. That he is starting and kind of rebooting the DCEU.
Yeah, because honestly, up until this point, the DC universe has been very one-dimensional. They're not complicated stories. Like and there's just not a lot of character depth. Granted, I haven't seen all of the DC movies, mostly because I haven't wanted to. I haven't seen any of the Superman ones. I'm eventually going to get to them. The only reason why I'm going to watch them is because Henry Cavill plays Superman. Sole reason why I'm going to watch them. But like Aquaman was an okay movie. Yeah, Jason Momoa was amazing as Aquaman, but the script itself wasn't a complicated story. It was very linear, which it's a linear movie is fine. It doesn't need to be super crazy, but I want character growth. I want to see these people evolve. Like Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie compared to the third Iron Man movie, those are completely different characters because he grows as a character. Let alone like the growing in like all the Avenger movies as well, and just his overall arc in the entire MCU. And most of the characters do that. Even Thor to an extent, even though it's very little character growth. And I think that's what lacks in the Thorverse. Is that, I mean, he kind of gets his head out of his ass, but
yeah.
See, I mean that's the thing. Like I'm just glancing at the headlines for some of these. Rolling Stone says Dwayne Johnson enters the DCEU. You run for the exits. The star brings the DC Comics anti-hero to the big screen, and he's the only reason to see what is one messy, sloppy, blah, blah, blah. Black Adam review. The Rock is back in spandex for surrealist superhero comedy from The Guardian. Collider. Black Adam review. Dwayne Johnson's murderous anti-hero is a welcome addition to the DCEU. So, I mean, it's across the board, man.
I didn't think the Wonder Woman movies were all that great. 84
honestly,
was terrible.
Honestly, I think the best DCEU movie has been Shazam.
Yes. I would agree.
I would say it's pretty. Shazam was pretty awesome. I did like Aquaman a great deal, and I did like Aquaman. I
enjoyed Aquaman.
I did like the first Wonder Woman. I thought the first Wonder Woman was spectacularly good. The second one, not so much. I mean, 84
yeah, so agreed. First Wonder Woman was a very good movie. Great overall story arc. And also it's an origin story, so and most people know the story,
right?
And so is this one. 1984. Super. Honestly, like don't get me started on it because I thought it was terrible. It wasn't good whatsoever. She lost. She technically lost.
Mm-hmm. CNET says Black Adam review. The Rock cuts loose in noisy supervillain spectacular. So it seems to me that people are like, well, it's an action-packed film, but it doesn't have a whole lot of meat to it. It's it's flashy and it's probably gonna make a lot of fucking money, man. It's probably gonna make big money.
I mean, I'll happily pay money to see The Rock in spandex.
Well, that's the other thing too. Dwayne Johnson doesn't make movies that fail. Has he made some movies that aren't great? Has he made some movies that
I don't know. Skyscraper, I think, failed.
Skyscraper was probably one of the few ones that did over the years. He was also in Doom, and Doom was not great, but he was also in like the fucking Tooth Fairy or whatever it was, where he plays a tooth fairy, and even that made money. You know, he made what was the
that
one?
That was a fun movie. It was attributed, or it was compared to like Kindergarten Cop. I haven't seen either of these movies, but it was one of those like big hulking guy with surrounded by children.
Sure.
That like teach him humanity type scenario. I don't know. I haven't seen either of them.
There's also the people that have criticized him for playing a Middle Eastern character, even though he's not Middle Eastern. Because Black Adam.
Well, Oscar Isaac isn't any of the races that he ever plays.
Sure, absolutely, but it doesn't change the fact that they still get criticized for him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, now granted, it's not as big a deal as like if a white guy had played Black Adam.
Well, here's the thing, though. So we're gonna get into that. If we're gonna get into that, then you can't argue both that it's okay for Idris Elba to play Heimdall. Mm-hmm. And that it's not okay for The Rock to play Black Adam.
Yeah.
You can't argue both of those.
Right, exactly.
I agree. If you, as the actor, because you're acting and you're acting as something that you're not, if you can portray what that character is meant to be. Mm-hmm. This is like my whole thing with an acquaintance of ours of like he gets all bent out of shape that Denzel Washington plays a lord in Much Ado About Nothing. He's like, I'm sorry, a black person wouldn't have had that role. It's not about the color of your skin.
Right.
It's the fact that he can portray that character as the character is supposed to be portrayed.
Well, like, particularly when it comes to Shakespeare, for crying out loud.
The lordness or the regalness of that character. It doesn't matter what the fuck color skin you have.
Right.
Can you portray that character properly and accurately?
Mm-hmm.
Can you embody them? That's a whole thing about acting. You're being something that you're not.
Correct. The problem why they talk about this stuff is that so many actors of color were marginalized and didn't get to take those roles, and then there were times when characters of color were then played by white actors.
Yes, and then you get whitewashing.
And you get whitewashing and stuff like that. So
you also
there's
get
the argument
and yellow face, like the whole thing of like the Chinese accent, like that really stereotypical Chinese accent that you get in a lot of very old movies. Right. That's not how people who know Mandarin as their native language and then learn English, that's not how they talk. That whole like fake Chinese accent was created by white people. NPR did a great story about on this about 2.5 months ago, by the way, if you want to look it up. And like actual Chinese actors had to learn the fake American Chinese accent because that's what the American audience expected at a certain point.
Well, that's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Super gross.
So yeah, I mean it's one of those things that like, so I mean the argument is okay, Dwayne Johnson, who's Hawaiian and black, should he have played this role? Should he have been allowed to play this role when they could have probably found a character, an actor who was of Middle Eastern descent that could have played it, I mean, just because he also
would work out the same way, could bring in the same amount of viewers.
Sure, exactly. There's that question as well. Sometimes it just comes down to money.
Yeah. CD said The Rock can only play black Hawaiian roles. That's all he gets.
That's all he gets. Forever. That's all he gets. So personally, I think. I mean, like I said, I like Dwayne Johnson. I always have.
I've always enjoyed him as an actor.
I like him in interviews. I like him in. I think he's a little over the top, but I mean, he started off as a wrestler. I mean, that's all over the
Honestly,
top.
Baywatch was way better of a movie than I expected.
Oh my God, Baywatch was
I
great.
still haven't watched it. I actually have a
It's-
copy of Blu-ray.
I went in with very low expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised.
So on Rotten Tomatoes here, we've got a couple of different things. It says, does it live up to expectations? Johnson has been attached to the Black Adam role for nearly 2 decades. His love for the DC universe shines through the film, and his passion plays off well throughout. That's from Shiraz Farouk from Cinema Debate. Those who've been waiting for this adaptation long since Johnson first expressed interest back in 2007 will not walk away disappointed, okay? How well does it fit into the DCU? A strong entry into the DCU, again from Shiraz Farouk. Though we prayed DC would move on, there are more than echoes of the Snyderverse here. How is The Rock as Black Adam? The Rock delivers one of his best performances. He put his heart and soul into the role. An absolutely terrific performance by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. The movie allows him to flex his trademark muscular showmanship and combine that with character-driven appeal. Johnson keeps up his enchanting screen presence as he lands old-fashioned one-liners and brutal action, all with complete passion. What about the Justice Society? Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan's portrayals of Hawkman and Dr. Fate are both equally brilliant. Now, personally, I'm excited about seeing those characters as well. Hawkman and Dr. Fate, absolutely fucking cool. And couldn't have. I think Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate.
Oh, I think he's gonna be
Perfect casting.
spectacular. I love
Perfect
that.
casting. I don't really know Aldous Hodge all that well. I mean, I think he was the character. He's the actor that's on Discovery. He plays Cleveland Booker. I
Oh,
think it is, or
Oh, I like him.
yeah, and I think so he's playing Hawkman.
well, that'll be cool.
Yeah. Now you want to talk about a racial shift of the character. Hawkman's always been depicted as a white dude, and so this character is black. Nobody threw a fit. Nobody had a problem with that. You know, Brosnan is a natural role in the Fate, is a natural in the role of Fate, and is a wonder how no one tapped on his talent sooner for a superhero role. Hodge is just as great in the film. Says, on the whole, members of the JSA are dealt short shrift, leaving them severely underdeveloped. So who knows? We'll see. This is how is the action. The movie is packed with action. When we say that, we mean it's pretty much nonstop action for the entire movie. Every fight sequence packs a punch, and the film gets extra credit when utilizing Dr. Fate's powers. Does the film have a worthy villain? The villain doesn't do much of anything except provide us with a pretty cool battle, so we will take it reluctantly. It's just a shame that the main villain isn't stronger here because it does overshadow some of the bombastic action on display. Will we leave feeling hopeful for the DCEU? Black Adam will help DC fans restore their faith in the DCEU. What it sets up for the future of the DCEU is exciting and not to be overlooked. So we could be seeing, again, I mean, like some of the things that Dwayne Johnson has said, that we could be seeing the beginning of a new DC cinematic universe.
I mean, they need it because overall they have been lacking.
No, there have been a great deal of rumor of late stating that Henry Cavill is going to come back for a Man of Steel 2. One of the main reasons for this is that Dwayne Johnson really wants Cavill to come back and play Superman so that his Black Adam can fight Henry Cavill's Superman.
I would very happily pay money to watch that.
That would be great, but personally, I'd rather see Black Adam go up against Shazam. I'd rather see him go up against Zach Levi and see the two characters that have been, at best frenemies, at worst arch enemies since he was introduced in the 40s.
I mean, so I have no comic book background. So.
Okay. Black Adam was one of the two arch nemeses of Captain Marvel or Shazam.
Okay.
He is a character that was gifted with the powers of Shazam. He was known as Mighty Adam. And he was a slave that, proved himself to be a man of virtue. So Shazam found him and gifted him with the powers to be the first champion of Shazam, because Shazam, the wizard Shazam, got his powers and acted as a hero. And then eventually the wizard passed on those powers to Mighty Adam.
What does Shazam stand for again?
It's an acronym of the.
I know it is.
Okay. Oh.
Nerd check.
All right. It is give me a moment.
Solomon,
It is the wisdom of Solomon,
Strength of Hercules.
strength of Hercules, the
Stamina of Atlas.
Stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus,
Yep.
the invulnerability of Achilles. No, the speed of Achilles. No, wait. No, yeah, the invulnerability of Achilles and the speed of Mercury.
Which is funny because they combine a whole bunch of different mythos in there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Solomon
and like
is Jewish mythos.
the invulnerability of Achilles has a very distinct vulnerability.
Yeah, it's Jewish. It's Jewish,
Greek and
Roman all mixed in together.
Yeah. So
Your check pass.
yeah, thank you. So anyway, the Mighty Atom, eventually he allowed the power to corrupt him. He became powerful enough and then used that power to liberate his people and liberate his country of Kandak from oppressors. Now that's a good thing, but then he eventually became a despot. Some say a benevolent one, but he was still used his power to rule as opposed instead of to defend.
Power corrupts. Ultimate power corrupts. Ultimately, or whatever it is.
Ultimate power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. Absolute power. It's absolute power corrupts absolutely.
That's absolutely correct. And so that's why after Mighty Atom, so then eventually Shazam then struck him down and renamed him Black Adam. That he had become because he had become corrupted by the power, and then sent him away,
imprisoned him somewhere.
Imprisoned him. I think at one point, basically sent him so far away that it took him thousands of years to get back to Earth. And but then there's other stories that he was imprisoned in the Rock of Eternity and all these other things. Eventually, Black Adam was freed. And he was still able to tap the power of Shazam and become Black Adam, and he became one of Shazam's, basically the evil version of Captain Marvel. And he was also known as, I think back in the day, he was also
the evil version of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's what.
Shazam. Of Shazam.
That's actually Shazam's original character name. Is Captain Marvel.
He was known as Captain Marvel.
I didn't realize there was a Captain Marvel in the DC universe.
Yes.
Well, originally he was in the Fawcett universe.
Well, that's not confusing at all.
Right. Well, that was a thing. I mean, Captain Marvel was originally created by Fawcett Comics in the 40s, in 1940. And then he was at one time was outselling Superman. He was so popular. And then eventually DC Comics sued Fawcett Comics because they felt that Captain Marvel and Superman were too similar, that they had copied Captain Marvel was infringing upon the copyright of Superman. They were too similar. So they, at one point, Fawcett basically Fawcett was tied up in legal shit from DC Comics for so long that the character was more or less retired until eventually DC Comics bought Fawcett Comics and they bought the rights to the character.
But isn't there a Captain Marvel in the Marvelverse?
That's the thing.
There's Captain Marvel.
Well, that's the thing. It started that it got to the point where eventually DC Comics or Fawcett, I can't remember.
Captain Marvel, yeah.
They lost
Sorry, Fawcett is a separate company, along with these other two.
Fawcett was eventually bought by DC Comics. And so then Fawcett had access to DC had access to all of Fawcett's comics. We are doing some deep dive nerd shit here.
I'm sorry, I'm from the 90s and I don't know comic books.
It's all right. So anyway, I believe
anime got your back.
In the 60s.
Comic books, not so much.
In the 60s, they basically lost the copyright to the name Captain Marvel. And Marvel bought it. And they were able, then they created a character called Captain Marvel, he was a Kree hero named Captain Marvel, and then he was referred to on Earth as Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. Now was
Marvel spelt differently?
Yeah, it was hyphenated, Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then DC was still able to use the name because they were two distinctly different characters that just had a similar name. That DC was able to still continue to use the name Captain Marvel as for that character but he wasn't. They weren't allowed to call it that on the cover of the comic. So any comic book that the Captain Marvel of DC appeared in, it always said the power of Shazam, or it had something about Shazam on the cover. It didn't say Captain Marvel on the cover. He was referred to as Captain Marvel in the interior of the book, though. Later on, pretty much when the New 52 happened, they decided to just do away with calling him Captain Marvel and instead just decided to call him Shazam instead, because a lot of people knew him as that character, knew him by that name. A lot of people just thought that the character of Captain Marvel, that his name was Shazam, because he would just say the word Shazam and turn into the character. They didn't realize that was actually the name of the wizard that gave him his powers.
Gotcha.
So in current continuity, the character of Captain Marvel is in DC as known as Shazam.
So
And that's
to
why-
come full circle, it would make more sense for Black Adam to fight Shazam versus Superman.
Correct. Because they both have the powers come from the same place. If
Yeah.
you see
That would be a lot cinematically, that'd be a lot cooler.
right, and if you see in the movie, he and his family, when Shazam parses out his power to the other members of his family, they're all in the Rock of Eternity and they're sitting on their various thrones, their various seats. There's one left.
Mm-hmm.
There's one reserved there. There's one still left. And they say that that's for Black Adam. So the idea, from what I understand, is that the idea is that they had the first Shazam movie, they have Black Adam, then the second Shazam movie comes out later on this in 23, and then the idea is we'll probably see Black Adam and Shazam meet up in a third Shazam movie. So
That would be really cool.
that would
I
be
think
cool.
The Rock
But
just wants to have a bromance with Henry Cavill. That's why
And-
he's saying Superman.
that's probably also part of it. I don't know. Personally, I'd be down to see it. I think it would be fucking awesome to see Henry Cavill again as Superman. I thought he did really good.
I
I
thought he
haven't,
did
I haven't
too.
seen them yet.
Oh man, Man of
I-
Steel is honestly, I think Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman was easily one of the best ones we've seen in a long time since Chris Reeve.
I like him as Superman. Man of Steel I found to be very boring. I have fallen asleep every time I've tried to watch that movie.
Well, it's Snyder,
And I don't like the super fast action that they do. I
Yeah,
understand
you've
they're
talked about that
Kryptonians.
before.
I don't need to see them move at super speed in their fight scenes. Show me
Sure.
what's going on in the fight scene.
Mhm.
Slow it down. Let me see it. I don't need them to go super fast. I understand they're going super fast. I don't need it to be on film.
Slow it down like 300.
I think I see what you're saying. Personally, I still it was such a good film. I feel like Man of Steel was a true superhero film. It wasn't a superhero movie. It was a film. And there was some really great like the way the character was portrayed, the way it was the way Superman was kind of just depicted, and I don't know, I just thought it was really, really solid. And I would love to see Cavill return to the role, because we saw him in Man of Steel, we saw it in BVS, and we saw him in Justice League. And I think that we need a Man of Steel 2 to kind of round that out and finish it off. You know,
I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
and Cavill was passionate about the role too. He really loved playing Superman.
Yeah, he's a huge nerd, so.
He is a huge nerd.
Yep.
He's one of us.
Yep.
One of us. One of us.
So just a couple of things.
If you
'cause
want to
we're-
do Henry Cavill's workout regimen, sweetie, like I'm fully
Nobody should
supportive
ever-
of this.
Nobody should ever do that.
I don't think
Just
I
don't
can.
do the dehydration thing. That's not healthy.
I'll say I don't think I can do his workout regimen.
I don't think most humans can.
So I follow
Fucking
Henry
nuts.
Cavill on Instagram, and it's
Of course
usually
you
just
do.
him complaining about how sore he is and how much he doesn't want to do cardio, but he does it anyway because it's good for you.
Fuck leg day.
Or he's
Let's
posting about his
Let's go get a
dog.
Sammy.
It's the
A
best.
Sando. We'll go get a Sando instead.
A Sando?
Yeah.
Jesus.
You watched Leonard. You watched Leonard Kenny, haven't you?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Jonesy and
Just-
Riley.
A Sando.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I hate screw leg day. I hate leg day. Let's go get a Sando.
I would happily screw Cav CD.
So a couple of things science-wise. I want to go back to the science a little bit because there's been some cool things that I was reading about science-wise. One, there has been a discovery that's never been seen before, and that is that they've witnessed a black hole. So in the past, they've seen black holes that kind of spit out parts of stars that they've swallowed. They call it burping.
Okay, gross.
But they've actually
Astrophysicists keep things really simple.
Yeah.
They're not like biologists with like words this long.
So, but there is a black hole that 2 years ago swallowed a star, and then just recently burped out part of that star from 2 years ago. They said they've never seen it that far.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
That's
and they're
awesome.
like they don't know what's going to happen next, so they're really watching this black hole now.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And the person who discovered it said that she doesn't know if this has ever happened before because they never watch for it, because they figure once the star's gone,
It's there forever.
it's
That's
gone.
always been the theory behind
Yeah.
black holes. It's gone forever.
Right.
Like nothing can leave the gravitational pull of a black hole.
well, and that's the thing. So the other thing that they talk about in this is spaghettification.
Oh yes,
Pardon
Things
me?
are pulled.
spaghettification.
Yes, and it's
It's
actually
when you actually like go past the event horizon and all of your atoms get stretched really, 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 essentially in single file.
Okay.
yeah.
Again, astrophysicists name things very simply and
But yeah,
logically, I guess.
I'm looking for where it talks about it. Yeah, so Yvette Sendez, who's the woman who discovered this, says this is her tweet. New prints out with the greatest discovery of my life. I discovered a black hole that 2 years after shredding a star has started burping out material traveling at a fraction of the speed of light. Never seen before, plus we don't know why.
Okay.
So yeah, they're going to be really studying this and looking at it and actually watching this black hole and probably any others that they know of.
Okay, so CD just commented saying, "In my dream life, I'm an astrophysicist." If anyone has any interest in astrophysics, I'm a biologist by nature. I am intrigued by astrophysics, but it hurts my brain. Like the concepts hurt my brain, but I love it. There was a great book that Neil deGrasse Tyson, Andrew A. Scott, I believe is his name, and a third physicist. I can't remember who the third one is. They essentially taught Astrophysics 101 at Cambridge together. And then they took their class and made a book because they taught it for years. It's called Welcome to the Universe. And I highly, highly recommend it. It's essentially Astrophysics 101 in layman's terms.
Yeah, it's on my
It is
list. It's on my list of things to read because I think
it's a great
astrophysics would be
read.
awesome.
I recommend getting the physical copy instead of like listening to it on Audible, because
Okay.
I did both. I listened to it on Audible first, and then I actually got the physical copy and then read it, and it made a lot more sense specifically for the math because they lay out the math.
Hmm.
But you don't need to be good at math to understand the math. It is very, very, very well written.
Cool.
Cool.
So that was one thing. The other thing I wanted to cover real quick, and you're going to love this one, Renee. Lab-grown brain cells learn to play Pong, may be sentient.
I heard about this. This was on NPR
yeah,
like
so-
4 days ago.
Scientists grew brain cells that integrated themselves with a silicon computer chip and simulated a world similar to the classic video game Pong.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes, the neurons learned how to play the game.
Wow, that's fucking nuts.
It's fucking cool.
The team dubbed the system Dish Brain and determined this example of biological computing shows both intelligent and sentient behavior. The breakthrough can help computers become smarter and artificial intelligence programs learn faster.
This
and it
is
says,
the start
or does
of
it get
how
us,
we get androids.
This is, or does it just get us one step closer to the Matrix-like reality that proves we're all living in simulation? But yeah, so according to the press release, gameplay is relatively simple. Electrodes on the left or right of one array are fired to tell Dish Brain which side the ball was on, while distance from the paddle was indicated by a frequency of signals. Feedback from the electrodes taught Dish Brain how to return the ball by making the cells act as if they themselves were the paddle.
It's awesome.
Like,
oh, I love science so much.
To me, the idea that they grew brain cells and attached them to a silicon chip.
Yeah. So because of this, like this is how, so being able to actually attach brain cells to a chip and for them to actually like be able to communicate with one another, so playing Pong, this is how we actually get artificial limbs to work with the synapses of nerves even better. And this is how we actually get truly like functioning robotic hands. Instead of just like sending signals electronically, this is how we break that electronic biological barrier. So in 10 years, like, well, frankly, with the rate of how technology goes at this rate, 5 to 10 years, we'll probably be able to break that barrier. This is the foundation of that work.
All I want is to be able to plug into my computer, just go, oh, and then I can just sit there and I can play and go like this.
Close your eyes.
And that's
just REM.
And I can just play video
and that's
games. I can
probably
play
the
video
start
games
of it, but like
on the back of my fucking eyeballs. I can just kind of.
But like that whole scene, like in like Star Wars, when Luke gets his hand, and they're like poking his hand to make sure all the nerves work. Like this is the start of that. Of we break that that mechanical electrical barrier to the biological, because we've always known that they can communicate, because the way nerves work is both electrical and chemical. We just had the issues of being able to break the barrier between, like, frankly, wires and cells. This is the start of that. That's what makes this so cool.
Yeah, and I guess they said that the next thing the scientists plan to do is introduce ethanol into the cells.
Yeah.
Into the system. They're basically going to get Dish Brain drunk.
Then?
Yeah, they're going to get drunk and see if it affects its ability to learn to play.
Yeah. There's that. It's also ethanol helps other things in cells work faster. It's one of those, like, what it does to an individual cell versus like an overall body are very different things. Like, does it break it? Does it break the whole system? Because it is a solvent. Because it's alcohol. It's solvent. They did a whole special on NPR about this, and it was really, really, really cool. I don't think this science team won a Nobel Prize, because it will be for 2023. But this came out the same week as the 2022 Nobel Prize winners. But yeah, it's,
you want an Android uprising?
Really cool research.
You want an AI uprising? This is how you get an AI
uprising.
Or this is how, like, the reality of cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Or this is how
this is how we're gonna
becomes reality.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get cyberjackers, and we're gonna get people are gonna jack
well,
into
this is how people are
Matrix.
you're gonna be able to download your brain into a robot or into a computer.
Johnny Mnemonic, baby. Johnny Mnemonic. We're gonna get the entire Library of Congress loaded into my fucking...
Another William Gibson story.
Yep.
That's actually a short story though.
Yes, and it's also a shit movie. Unfortunately,
yeah, they didn't do a good job with the movie.
I was going to
the novella or short story is actually really good.
I was going to talk about, like, one of the Nobel Prize winners of 2022, the physics group. or the physics team that won the 2022 Nobel Prize. I don't know enough about what was it? Gravitational dimensional time physics to be able to explain it. But ultimately, it's one of those. They theoretically found something faster than the speed of light, and it's not really the fact that it's faster than the speed of light. It's the whole thing about once you observe something, so light will either act as a wave or a photon, depending on the observer. Sometimes it acts as a photon.
Oh, it's
Sometimes it
actually
acts as a
gravitational
wave.
time dilation.
That's what it was. And once you have one particle that goes in one direction, and another particle can be anywhere in the universe, will automatically go in the other direction. And it's one of those that, because the one particle was observed and going in one direction, the de facto the other one will automatically go in the other direction. It hurt my brain to read the abstract of the paper. Also, the abstract was like an entire page long, which normally they're a paragraph. It hurt my brain. I'm not smart enough for it, and I consider myself a semi-smart individual. I'm not that smart. If people are really interested in it, someone on actually one of the writers of it made a fantastic TikTok putting it in super layman's terms. She did the sock analogy of like, so I have a sock and I put it on my left foot. By de facto, the other sock is my right sock, solely because the other sock was observed on the left foot. It still hurts my brain even with the sock analogy. Science is awesome, and you should keep up on it. It's amazing.
What if you only had
we
one
live
sock?
in the future.
What if you only had one sock?
No, there's always two socks.
Well, CD was.
Yeah, you have to assume there's always two socks in this universe. There's always pairs. that is a constant. There's always two socks. It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat. The cat's in the box in order for this to work.
What's in the
box? You don't know if it's alive or dead. It's the same. It's both at once because you don't know because you haven't observed it yet. But in order for the analogy to work, the cat is in the box. I want to know what they did when Schrodinger was in the coffin.
Hey, Chris, what's it like living with a wife who's smarter than you?
It's not that tough.
It's not that hard.
I keep a lot of things inside.
It's a lot of yes, dear.
Yes,
yeah.
A lot.
Okay, dear.
Does she pet you on the head and tell you you're pretty?
No, I do that to her a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He just puts up with me of like when I go on like these tangents, and he does the same thing that I do when he's talking about IT stuff. I just
because see, that's the thing.
I just smile and I nod.
She's smarter than me in the areas.
Many ways, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, in like biology and
bio,
like physics and chemistry.
She knows way more. I ask her questions all the time about biology.
Yeah, I know fuck all about IT.
Yeah, I watch her eyes glaze over.
After a decade, I feel like I've learned quite a bit.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't have a metabolism, I don't give a flying fuck about it.
All right.
That's why I wasn't good at physics.
IT is not physics. Boring, CD.
IT's super boring. I'm with CD on this one. I know a lot about physics. I'm just not inherently good at it. I am inherently good at chemistry and biology because they're like this. They work together.
I actually never took physics. I wish I had. I think I would love physics.
The way your school organized its science program was ass backwards, and they did a disservice to you because you would have been phenomenal at physics. Because frankly, the order of how it goes is mathematics is the basis of everything.
Yep.
Physics is applied mathematics. Chemistry is applied physics. Biology is applied all. So the reason why a lot of people aren't good at biology is because a lot of biology is just memorization.
Yep. I hate it.
Yeah, you're just memorizing a lot of stuff. I am very good at memorizing things. I really only need to read it once and I pretty much have it memorized. Excuse me. But it's like applied all. That's why you have like the sub variant of like biochemistry. You're combining both of them together. I am not inherently good at physics because for whatever reason, like this car hits this car and like calculate all the forces with it. I have a hard time doing it. I can do it. It just takes me much longer than what it should. But like this atom hits this atom, I can calculate that just fine. I don't know why. When I can see it, my brain just doesn't work that way. If I can't see it, it makes more sense to me. It's just how my brain's wired. But mathematics is the basis of all of it. And I love math.
Yeah. All right.
Math nerd.
Enough
Sorry.
about
This
science.
week on a particularly nerdy version of Nerds with Alcohol.
It's a science nerdy episode.
All right. So let's get away from the science and let's talk She-Hulk finale.
She-Hulk finale. Definitely. Now, there's some science
Some
involved
science
here.
nerd. Some science in that.
Absolutely. Personally, again, and I've mentioned this before, I absolutely have adored the She-Hulk TV show. I'm definitely team She-Hulk. There's a lot of people that there are a lot of fucking trolls and a lot of people out there on the internet that can't handle the whole woke culture stuff that they've integrated into.
It's not woke at all.
It's not woke at all.
From
It's
what I
just,
understand, that's how the comics have always been.
it is, and it's just smart stuff. It's smart writing. It's
It
well
is.
done.
And it's been a great, without being overly preachy.
No, She-Hulk does not know math. She's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not overly preachy, but it's very much addressed a lot of women's issues, a lot of issues that women have to put up with on a daily fucking basis.
Yeah. And
No joke.
Like you were saying, without being preachy, without being overly, without being dramatic about it, really, they have still addressed it in a good manner. Comedic.
I have loved the
entertainingly.
show.
Yeah.
And no joke, like as Chris brought up, it has brought up things that women deal on a daily basis, myself included. Shit, in that first episode of I deal with men splaining what I have a degree in on a daily basis. That happened to me all the time in the brewing industry, and it is infuriating.
Absolutely.
I am mad all the time for the sole fact that I was born female. Like, to be considered less than just because you're female is infuriating. And now, yes, it's not the entire culture. It's not all men. Like, obviously, you two do not hold these mentalities. It's actually a very small proportion of men. However, 3 weeks ago, I no joke, at one of my sites, I was walking to my piece of machinery. There so happened to have been about a half a dozen cars parked there. 2 guys were between 2 of them just chit-chatting. I made eye contact with the one facing me. Because I made eye contact with that person, I acknowledged their existence. I head nodded. He head nodded back. That should have been the end of the transaction. We acknowledged each other's existence as humans because we made eye contact. As I continue walking, he's like, "Smile, baby." No. And I
He actually
walking.
said that to you?
He did.
Wow.
And then he followed up with, "You'd be prettier if you smiled."
Holy shit.
And I'm like, you're not worth smiling at. And I continued about my day. I went to my filter, I switched it out, and I went back to my car. But I'm sorry, had it been either of my male coworkers, none of that would have happened. If they made eye contact with him, they would have nodded, and it would have been the end of it.
Wow.
Like, it's just, I have loved She-Hulk because they have addressed a lot of these issues, and a lot of people on the internet who get butthurt about it just don't understand.
I think so too. I think that we're seeing a lot of people just like, because they can't, I don't see a whole lot of complaints made by women, in all honesty.
No.
The majority, if anything, the ones that I do see that are complaining about women, they're not complaining about that specifically. They complain maybe about like that they're still griping about the way She-Hulk looks, or they're griping about, they just don't like that it's not an action-packed, show like some of the other ones are. But the majority, the worst and the loudest critics have been these, incel, dudes that just can't deal with the fact, or don't like the fact that they can't relate to the story, that they're watching this I think they're just, it's too smart for them, honestly.
There's that.
Yeah.
They also poke fun at the internet trolls in the final episode.
Yes,
of,
which is one of the things
men that are just like, there's, Dude Hulk, and like that whole like last scene.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
they're essentially poking fun at the insecure men.
Right. And one of the things that I
issues.
found to be so brilliant about this, and about why the writers, because all of these shows were written long before it came on TV. I mean, the shows were done. The whole season was done before it was premiered. So they knew that it's like they showed they created these episodes, and they just knew that there were going to be a bunch of trolls out there that just couldn't handle it. That they were going to be negative, and that's what the finale really dealt with in many ways.
Yeah,
I mean, in the episode before that, she had hulked out and freaked out because these guys tapped her phone and revealed her private information, and revealed, and they basically called her, they slut shamed her. They
posted a sex video that she didn't consent to having done.
Right. The guy, Josh, was basically paid to seduce her and get in her pants and film this video. And so then it was put out. She hulked out. She freaked out. She wrecked the screen of TVs, and then like ran through the building's wall to get to these guys. And then in the next, and you're like, and then she gets, guns pointed at her by these
damage
troops.
control.
Honestly,
by DC. And so then she the episode opens with her in jail. Imo Blonsky's cell.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's also like it wasn't even the fact that she had a sex tape released of her. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that someone copied her phone.
No, for sure.
Like, honestly, like if a sex tape was released,
that was just part of it.
Yeah, it was that true invasion of privacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in Jen's case, it's not even the fact that there was a sex tape about her. It's the fact that someone she remotely trusted to be intimate with then copied her phone and used this, and it's that absolute feeling of betrayal.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is way more infuriating than have a sex tape released about yourself. Everybody has sex.
Sure.
It's things people do.
Right. And then
you're consenting adults.
You don't want people to see it. That's the thing.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, but still.
The thing is then she freaked out. But and
she
her,
did, and she destroyed the stage.
Well, her argument was anybody would have freaked out like that. And then Mallory Book, her lawyer, was like, yes, but not everybody is a Hulk.
Yep.
Exactly.
You can't do that. And so she freaked out. If she had just been a normal woman.
That is the same message that there is with police.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's you're held to a higher standard
Right.
because of the training you have or the abilities you have, that type
Well,
of thing.
police or military,
Yeah.
anybody that is heavily trained, and but also she's a superhuman. She's not just a superhuman. She's a Hulk, known for being particularly violent, for being scary and monstrous and stuff like that. So now we see the entire episode. They offered her a deal. They'll drop the charges, but she has to wear an ankle bracelet
Inhibitor.
an inhibitor that makes it so she can't ever change again. She
Well,
loses
you
her
see the
job.
inhibitor more in this, and it's actually got 2 prongs that actually go into the leg
Right.
and into the bloodstream, it looks like.
Right. So we see that. We see her lose her job and lose her apartment and lose her her livelihood and has to move back with her parents, and her life is just falling apart.
Nikki's really funny in there, talking about, like, you take this, that you deserve this, and blah blah. I'm still going to work here because they pay me really well.
Really well, right? Exactly. She's like, yeah, I get
But
it.
Jen gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets it. I mean,
Well,
in
Pug
honest,
was really cool too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
I thought he was
You
just
could
going to be
see he
a
was
douche at the
upset.
beginning.
No, no. He's very much like a very like kind of down to earth, really, really good progressive male in the show. And we see like just more and more this information is coming in. She's just like she's getting screwed. And she's sitting, she and Nikki are at the house working on trying to figure out who did this to her and why.
She's at her parents' house.
Yeah, at her parents' house. And her parents, of course, her dad is very supportive, but her mom is, of course, her mother.
Her dad with the hose, I thought was.
Yeah, oh my God, it was so funny. And
we're in a drought.
I don't care if there's a drought. I got
water pressure for days.
And the funny thing is her dad's an ex-cop. So, he knows how to handle that shit.
But also, like, one of the things, it seemed like what, like, intelligentsia and everything was trying to do was to push her buttons and get her to that point to make her break, which was a nod back at the first episode when Bruce even says, once they see you as a monster, that's all they'll ever see. And they were trying to push her to that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she wasn't inherently at that level. She wasn't a mindless monster.
Can we actually talk about the way the show actually started, though?
Which was... Oh, yeah! Oh, my God! The homage to the original show.
Yes.
Yeah,
Holy shit,
the like
funny.
70s.
Yes,
that was incredible.
The 70s Incredible Hulk show. It was a scene for scene recreation of putting her into all the scenes. And we finally get to see that scene where it's her and Bruce in the 70s outfits.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That we saw in the previews.
Oh man, so funny. And we also saw like when she transformed, it was actually a male bodybuilder that was playing the She-Hulk and stuff. And it was strikingly hilarious. I was like, oh my God, I'm watching it and I'm looking at Stella. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is like an homage to the old 70s show, which was, and the thing is, the Hulk TV show was a lot of people's introduction to that character.
Yep.
Everybody that didn't read comic books that enjoyed the Hulk, they watched that show. So there's a lot of people that even have watched the more recent movies and the more recent, representations of the Hulk in the shows.
I will be right back,
movies.
guys. I'm sorry.
Sure. They that's what they are aware of when it comes to the Hulk. They didn't know. They don't know a lot of the. Many of them don't know a lot of the ins and outs of the comic book stuff, but they do definitely know, Robert Bruce Banner from the TV show. Because I mean, they even changed his name from Bruce Banner to Robert Bruce Banner in the show. Because of apparently the connotation of that Bruce is a homosexual name. It was like,
is that what it was?
I believe that was what was the case. It was like they changed his name because of that, I guess. I don't know. At least in the 70s, that's what it was.
Wow.
I believe that's what it was. I think I read an article that stated that was one of the reasons why.
Never
So-
heard that, but okay.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, but the original show was very memorable, was very, people, Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. I mean, that was their thing. So seeing, that was another reason why people were like, that were against the She-Hulk in the first place. They were like, I don't remember any She-Hulk in the TV show. I don't remember that.
Well, there's a
Dickhead.
reason. There wasn't
original-
one in the TV
right.
show.
Right. Because She-Hulk was
But She-Hulk was created because of that TV show.
well, one of the reasons, yeah.
Well, no, that was the main reason. It was because
Well,
the
they
guy
wanted
who
to,
created the show had actually successfully spun off the Bionic Woman from the $6 Million Man.
right.
And Marvel went, we don't want him doing that with our property because we'll lose control. So we need to create it first. So they created She-Hulk to stop that from happening.
Right. And then, like, at the same time too, at that era, they were like, how can we create female versions? Let's make female versions of popular characters. And so that's why they made another reason, because one of the reasons why they made She-Hulk and Spider-Woman and Ms. Marvel, because three extremely popular characters, the male character versions, they're like, we gotta expand them. We gotta figure out how can we make we can appeal to more girls, and get girls more interested. So it's just like how Marvel has always been on the cutting edge of trends. It's why characters like Dazzler was created. So because they were like, ooh, disco is big. Let's make a disco oriented character. Ooh, let's like a lot of Spider-Man's villains were related to things that were popular in culture. The Rocket Racer was a character that roller skated.
Mm-hmm.
And because roller skating was huge. There was another character that I think was a skateboarder. There was another character that they created a character that was Razorback, because for a while big truckers were popular. Like movies or TV shows that featured truckers as characters were popular. So they made a character that he was a superhuman, but he was also a trucker. They created Power Man and Iron Fist were directly related to blaxploitation films and kung fu movies.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with Shang-Chi was created, in response to specifically Bruce Lee movies.
Yep.
Comic books,
we're
like
getting. Go ahead.
comic books, like a lot of the Disney movies, are representative of their time frames.
Yeah.
Sure. The same thing with.
We're getting off topic though. We gotta.
Well, sure, but the point is that there was always like they've had their finger on the pulse when it comes to stuff like that.
But anyway,
And
so
She-Hulk
yes,
was-
the very
She-Hulk
beginning was a total homage to the old '70s Incredible Hulk show.
Absolutely, and it was really well done.
Really
I thought
well
It was
done.
really cool.
Down to the 35 millimeter, mind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it was,
and the
it was-
graphics of 35 millimeter.
Well, yeah, because it was.
It was also done in 3:4.
3/4 too, yeah. So it's just really fucking cool. And then, it's like we were talking about, the show progressed. It's showing her kind of her whole life falling apart because she, in all honesty, she fucked up. I mean, she freaked out
Mhm.
and she got
She was
mad,
pushed to
freaked
it.
out. Well, she was pushed to it.
And I
Yeah.
completely agree with her. I mean, I
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. But it doesn't change the fact that she messed up by
Yep.
freaking out the way she did.
And
And-
causing thousands of dollars of property
Right.
damage
Even
and
her
all of that.
Even her friends were like, Jen, don't do it.
Yeah.
Jen, and she loses it. So she ends up eventually just going like, because she can't talk to this person, she can't get a hold of Bruce. So she's like, Emil will understand. And so she decides to go back out to his
Well, before that,
thing.
Nikki is tracing things, and she takes
Right.
the video that she got from Jen's
From her
mom,
yeah.
from when Jen was back in college, and
Right.
and
And
Post-
doing stupid college shit.
yeah, and
Right.
posted on the Intelligentsia site, and winds up getting a a hit of that's awesome. Such great, great.
What a great find.
Great
Yeah.
find. We're having a get together tonight. You should come out, bro.
Yeah. Bro.
Yep.
Yeah,
And so
then she
she
realizes,
goes-
oh shit, I
Because
can't go
they
as me.
assume
Right.
because they assume that it's a man who posts it.
Yep.
So she gets Pug to help her.
Yeah.
And
Pug, are you still here?
Yeah.
I need a
pose as
favor.
her as the guy, basically, to
Yep.
go. And
Yeah.
So they go to this retreat and they go to the place and he goes in and he's
And
like,
I was looking at it. I'm like, that looks familiar.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that looks like the lodge.
And Pug was like, it again showing like he's a very enlightened guy. He's a very modern guy, and he's like, I have to. Oh man, I gotta be with these
Call women females.
douchebags. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta be with these douchebags. Damn. And
He's like,
And-
do I have to have this earbud in? Isn't that going to stand out? No, trust me,
No.
you're not going to be the only one.
yeah,
No joke. I literally watched a chick at Silks today practicing her routine, listening to her music in a single earbud
right.
while in the Silks. Like, it's totally normal right now.
So, but they go in, and so he shows up there, and I'm like, wow, this does look really familiar. And the poor guy's, and the funny thing is the poor guy's moving around the room, and he's figuring things out, and
He doesn't know how to talk to these guys.
he doesn't know how to talk to any of them. And you're hearing some of the conversation, and it's exactly the shit that you hear on when guys are talking about empowered women.
It's toxic, it's toxic bullshit.
It was just toxic masculinity. That was just like, she got it all through nepotism, man. And, or,
We wouldn't have a
Didn't
she
earn
Well,
those
that's
powers.
what the nepotism thing is. What Nikki tells him to say.
Well, yeah, but even so, it was a trigger word.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that they're like, yeah, man, yeah. And like things like, what was it? He's like, why do we have a She-Hulk? I mean, we don't call him He-Hulk. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, dude, really? And I thought that was really fucking smart. Again, it was a great example of the writers recognizing that there's dudes out there like that are going to
constant
that do this kind of thing when it comes to seeing women in that are in positions of power, positions above them.
And then what's his face shows up in the the guy that's been hitting on her the whole time.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Neither can I.
But anyway,
He's
the super douche.
Yeah.
And
he was
he's
rich and
and Pug recognizes him and says something, and Nikki's like, wait, what's he doing? What's he doing there? Oh, you know what? No, that tracks.
Right, yeah. And then you basically find out that he's the guy that started the intelligentsia. He was Hulk King. And you're just like, okay, so you got this rich, entitled asshole who thinks he deserves everything and deserves superpowers. He deserves superpowers. He somehow earned them or whatever. And it was Todd. His name was Todd. And he's like this, just honestly just a scumbag. And he's like, yeah, I'm the Hulk King. And he gets up there and he's like leading this retreat.
Yeah.
He's the one that's like, and we're gonna kick it in the ass and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow.
And let me introduce our speaker tonight.
Right.
The Abomination.
And that's when you see some of the shit on the walls and on the tables and stuff. It's his motivational speaking shit. And
Jen is showing up at the lodge now, and the one guy, Wrecker.
The Wrecker.
Yeah, meets her, and he's like, yeah, he's got some private event or something that he's doing down in the lodge. That's where he is. 'Cause she's like, I really need to talk to Emil.
Right.
He's the one that's going to understand this. And Wrecker's trying to be understanding and talk with her. And
so funny. I was still expecting him to turn into a dickhead, but he was fine.
I was really glad that he didn't.
Yeah. It was weird. I was really expecting him to just be like turn into a villain, and he didn't. Oh, speaking of, you guys mentioned the Baywatch movie. The guy who played Todd was in the Baywatch movie.
Oh, is he?
Was
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
Huh.
I only ever saw it the one time.
I still haven't seen it. I looked him
But-
up, and I'm like looking up some of the shit that he was
Yeah.
in. So.
But anyway, so she goes to
I mean, he
look for a
probably
meal.
plays a dweeb like he plays in here.
Yeah, I think he does. He
And-
plays like a dude.
And after basically as Abomination's coming walking in and slapping hands with guys and everything, and Jen walks in and sees him walking up, and he starts talking, and he's doing his like empowerment stuff, and
Take what's yours.
yeah, but he's still got that kind of. He doesn't have like that big deep voice. He's still got Emil's voice. It's
Yeah,
just-
and that was the thing too, is like you could tell that Emil was just it was a gig.
yeah,
It was
Yeah.
a job. He didn't
Yeah.
know who he was talking to. He didn't know he was talking to a bunch of toxic dudes that are, the intelligentsia and whatever. He just was like, oh, okay.
It was a
male-
money making event.
right. It's just some male empowerment bullshit, And so I found that to be pretty funny as well,
But yeah, so then Jen, calls him out on it, and she's like, "You've been turning into the Abomination." He's like, "Only for speaking gigs."
Only for money. Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, you can't do that, and then that's the thing, and everything just starts to fall apart. You get Todd confronts her, and he's like, oh, she's here, and then he goes, yeah, I did that. I'm the guy, and I did this, and
I hired Josh to seduce you and get your
Yeah.
blood.
And then he goes, and my scientists reverse engineered it, and then he injects himself, and then
With
he
the blood.
starts to like Hulk out, and he's like, and then all of a sudden he's like, it was hilarious. I mean, he becomes a douchebag Hulk, and he's like,
Yeah.
come at me, bro.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck. And then it's funny because then Jen is like, wait a minute, what? This isn't right. And
Yeah, and then
This is every
Bruce drops through the ceiling.
he's like, get your
this is
hands off
every
my
trope
cousin.
ever.
Right. It was
It's
all
every trope ever. I don't need
she's like, my
yeah.
cousin shows up to help. So then she pretty much that's when she takes it.
And then she's like, and then it like goes to like the Marvel screen or the
Yeah.
Disney screen, and she's like, wait, where are you going? No, you don't.
Yeah.
I loved it. This is one of my favorite parts, that she actually kicks her way. She changes into She-Hulk, and she kicks her way into
Well, she smashes out the She-Hulk logo,
right,
and she's
climbs
looking
through.
around outside the like on the menu still, and she's like,
Yeah.
what am I?
Which apparently is something that she does in the comics.
Yeah,
Like
well, see,
whenever
that's-
her story is going
Yeah.
down a direction that she doesn't approve of,
Mhm.
she like regularly like breaks out of her story and goes into
Well,
the writer's
all
room.
right. So this is true that for a long time, She-Hulk was a character that did break the fourth wall and talk to the reader. She hasn't done it in a while. I'll admit that the last, it was something that was very common in her comic book in the 80s that John Byrne drew and wrote. And it was really good at the time, too. It was one of those things that was really smart. He did some really funny stuff. A lot of things that were like, they were in continuity, but they seemed kind of weird, and they were not complete. But they were funny, and it was very much kind of a very lighthearted comic book. And that's the thing. She-Hulk would break the fourth wall in her own comic, but if she showed up in the Avengers or Fantastic Four or anything else, she didn't break the fourth wall. This was not something that is not like part of her superhero's power set or something. It was just something that was intrinsic in her comic book. And I think they did it again. They continued to do it for a while later, but then after a while it stopped. And in her most recent comic book, in fact, her most recent like couple comics, she wasn't breaking the fourth wall anymore. But it was definitely something that they did for a long time.
Yeah.
And I did
And-
like how they integrated it.
But anyway, so
Same.
she looks out and she's like, Avengers Assembled, that'll work. And she swings out and kicks open the Avengers Assembled and drops inside of it. And next thing you know, she's walking through a studio.
Right.
As
She's walking through the Marvel
Yeah,
studio.
Marvel Studios. And she walks out and she's walking around the lot. And you see the Walt Disney holding Mickey's hand
Right.
statue in the background. And she walks into a studio. She goes and finds her writers and confronts them.
Right.
And says basically, this isn't what people want. They're like, oh yeah, this is exactly what they want. It's what Kevin wants. And she's like, I'm gonna go talk to Kevin. And
She's
they're
like,
you're
fine, I
never
want
gonna
to talk to Kevin. Yeah. We'll die for Kevin. We'll
Yeah.
kill for Kevin.
Yeah. And so she goes off and she finds Kevin, and everyone thinks it's going to be Kevin Feige. And I'm like, is Feige actually going to show up on this show? Because that would be fucking
really
awesome.
Hoping it would be.
And apparently this was his idea. Apparently the robot thing was his idea.
But yeah, she gets in and it's an
awesome.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
It was an AI that and she's like, and I loved how like she walks in and he's like, and can you depower because you're very expensive. But
the FX crew has moved on to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes, but do it when you're off screen. So you see her Hulk down and you don't see it because you just see her off screen. And then she's talking about like, why is it we got to have this? Why is it you're,
where is it? Sorry, I'm looking for what
Kevin stood for.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's like basically talking to her and saying like, well, this is what the audience wants, and this is the algorithm that proves. And she's like, no, we don't have to do like what people expect, and it doesn't have to be the normal thing. We can do our own thing, which is what we've been doing all season. And so then she sits down and he goes, oh, you're sitting. And she goes, and then
why are you sitting?
Yeah, she proceeds to basically lay out what she wants, how the show to end and how this season to end. So
she's going through everything. Like
Todd
really
shouldn't have gotten powers.
Yeah, Todd getting powers, and with stealing the blood, isn't that really close to the super soldier serum? And then Bruce, really, my cousin coming from outer space to save the day.
Save the day. No, this is my show.
I can save myself. Yeah.
She goes, I just really want Emil to what was it, face up or be accountable for what he's done and or what he did and whatever. And that's what they do. And then he makes some certain jokes, like he says things like, what was it? He said,
there it is.
Well, save it for the movie or something like that. And she goes, really? He goes, no. And we're like, oh man.
Knowledge enhanced visual interconnectivity nexus.
Yeah. Okay. So
when are we going to get the X-Men?
Yeah, that too.
She sticks out her tongue. Yeah.
When are we gonna get the X-Men? I was like, oh my god, that was hilarious. It was brilliant. It was so good. And
then when she's going to leave though, and he's basically kicking her out, saying, okay, fine, I'll give you what you want. And she goes to leave, and she says something about her cousin smashing and I smash fourth walls and bad endings. And occasionally Matt Murdock. Matt
Murdock. It was, oh my god, it was so fucking good. She goes,
because that was the other thing she wanted. Because he's like, what do you want?
Can Matt Murdock show up because a woman has needs?
Yeah, because a woman has needs. and Kevin's response is, we've been pretty lacking in that department.
Yeah. It was really
certainly
great.
We have been lacking in that department.
And it was funny. I mean, even Titania came in at the end there too, and she's like, "Why is Titania here?"
Yeah.
And it was
just things that didn't make sense.
Right. It was really funny. So then, of course, we do see the redone ending there, and
we go back and everything's done, and basically
everything's done.
Yeah.
Todd doesn't
get superpowers.
Right. It was revealed that she had been framed up and that she'd been pushed to it, and so she's still in her. She's able to go back to her She-Hulk form and be it and stuff, but she walks out. And
Emil takes responsibility for
right. And Todd is like, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. She's like, yep. And I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
He walks up to her and she walks up to him and he's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna sue you. And I was just like, yeah. Daredevil just drops out of the sky essentially.
I'm here, Jen. What do you need? She's like, you're late. Everything's done.
Oh, well, okay, but she's like, hey, but let's hang out, or whatever. And even you can see Titania like, hi, Daredevil.
But and Blonsky agrees to go back to jail for a decade, and
which is fucked.
Yeah.
Oh God. And then you see her later again. You see her like at the house. you know, with her family for like a barbecue.
And Matt's there.
And Matt's there, and they're joking because
Oh my God, that scene was so funny.
He's the boyfriend or whatever that she brought, and there is rumors that there's a possibility that maybe Jen's going to show up in the new Daredevil, at least maybe a couple of episodes. If she does, I bet she'll just be Jen.
Yeah.
I doubt that she'll show up.
Her dad though, talking with him about
Yeah.
so you got your own practice.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, yeah, but we help those that you don't make much. You don't make much money. Well, we make a little, but not.
Yeah, we do it. Yeah, I actually really like.
How are you going to support a family on that?
I really liked Mark Linn-Baker as the dad. I thought he was pretty cool.
Doing the typical dad thing.
Yeah, and seeing him as, you know, I mean, he was very well known as an actor in
Cousin
the 80s.
Larry.
He was Cousin Larry in Perfect Strangers, and really a very well known, a good comedic actor. The guy had some serious chops, and we hadn't seen much of. I think he did a lot. I think he did more.
I had no idea who he was.
Well, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. But
I used to watch Perfect Strangers all the time.
We did. It was a very popular sitcom when we were younger, and
him and Serge.
Yeah, it was
a little twist.
Bronson
You love
Pinchot.
it.
Bronson
Twist,
Pinchot,
you love
right.
it.
But it was a really satisfying ending, I think. And then, of course, at the end, you see Bruce show up of course, because it's a family gathering. Why not? And he shows up because we know he's been.
I know I've been away for a while.
Right. Because that's the other thing too about She-Hulk. It's very it was very vague as to how much time actually had passed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure it was less than a year, but it was probably more than 6 months or so. And so Bruce
Trials don't happen like that. That's the thing.
Right. Yeah. But he'd been off planet for a while. He'd been on Sakaar, and he comes back and he's like,
"Here's my son.
This is my son." And you see this green young man walk in, and
my son's
and
Scar.
people are like, "This is my son's Scar." You're like, "Holy shit!" And I definitely went, "Holy shit!" when I saw that. I was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna have Scar? We're gonna have Scar? We're gonna have," And Stella looks over at me and she goes, "Who is that?" Oh,
Who's
man.
that with the man bun?
All right. This is gonna get complicated. So I'm not going to go into the details, but
yes, we got to wrap things up. We're at like almost 2 hours and 15 minutes now.
Right. So we got to.
That's what happens when you have a third person. Sorry.
Exactly. It always happens this way. But yeah, the Hulk does have a son.
We went big time nerd out on a lot of things today.
Sorry, science though.
That's okay.
But yeah, the Hulk does have a son from a relationship he had off
two.
planet. He does. He has 2, and Scar is the good son, honestly, and he he is an established character, and now they definitely have their characters that they need to have the Young Avengers. Even though Scar really has never been a part of the Young Avengers, he would take the place of like Hulkling, or possibly Brahma, who's also known as, who was a Hulk for a while. So it's or Brawn, I think is his name, Brawn. It's perfect. It was like, oh man, now we have Cassie Lang, and we have Wanda's sons have been introduced, and Patriot was introduced, and in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So they could potentially, and they've been moving slowly towards having the Young Avengers. Hawkeye, the Haley Stenfeld's Hawkeye character. We could have it. So I personally thought it was a really good ending. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see where they're going to go next. I really, really hope that She-Hulk gets a second season.
It did.
Same.
It already did. It already did.
I really enjoyed it.
It has been renewed for a second season.
Really? Because I heard that the director was being real cagey, and everybody was being...
When the day the finale came out, they announced there would be a second season.
Awesome.
Really?
Yep.
Because I hadn't, like I said,
it's already on IMDb. It is. I've seen multiple articles about it.
Wow. Okay. Like I said, most of the Well, it says She-Hulk season 2 gets disappointing update from Tatiana. Who indicates she doesn't think there will be plans for another chapter. Created but Star is unsure it will lead to season 2. Created by
I was seeing stuff that it had already been renewed for a season 2.
In a recent interview with Extra, Maslany addresses She-Hulk concerning chances of season 2 renewal. In a disappointing update, the She-Hulk actress reveals that she hasn't heard any talk about another season, and that based on Kevin's words in episode 9, she doesn't seem to be expecting any either. Check out Maslany's comments below. I mean, I don't think so yet. Kevin in the scene seems to be very dismissive of this idea. So if we're basing this off the real Kevin, it doesn't seem likely. But he was also, I think, just trying to get rid of Jen because she was asking too many questions. I don't know. If I could be coy and have some little secret, I would do that. But I really don't. I don't know anything.
I really hope it has a second season because
says,
it was really.
It was so smart.
Honestly, it was also nice to follow a female superhero for once who doesn't have a super bad alcohol problem. I mean, I really like Jessica Jones as well.
Sure.
So, like, in the ways of, like, female superheroes / shows, they're substantially less than the male ones. Yes,
sure.
Most superheroes start off as superheroes and women show up after.
Sure.
Because, again, they're representative of their time. And then you have, shitheads on the internet being like, well, we don't have, He-Hulk, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But it says, even if She-Hulk Attorney at Law season 2 never happens, there's still plenty of future MCU projects in which Maslany's She-Hulk could appear. One possibility is Captain America New World Order. Sam Wilson's debut as Captain America will see him face the leader, Tim Blake Nelson, a villain also transformed by the gamma radiation in the Hulk's blood. The leader's connection to Jen's family would be a perfect bridge to bring her into the
He's
film,
also part of the intelligentsia.
Right.
The actual intelligentsia, which is what a lot of people are hoping we actually see.
Right. Especially considering She-Hulk is now Emil Blonsky's legal counsel. Still, if She-Hulk does appear in Captain America New World Order, will be likely in a supporting or cameo role. There's also the idea that she may show up in Daredevil.
She may show up in Thunderbolts.
Right. It's also possible that Marvel is finally setting up the Incredible Hulk sequel. Now that She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law has introduced Bruce's son Scar, the MCU has 3 Hulks and no reason not to give Ruffalo's Hulk his first solo film since the star took over the role from Edward Norton. Yeah. So I think, guys, I mean, I don't know, Chris, I
at the very least, we're going to see She-Hulk again, probably.
Right.
Maybe not in a dedicated thing.
Yeah. My guess is like, yeah, we will definitely see her again. We just may not necessarily see her in another season. Creator Jessica Gao offers a blunt response to potential She-Hulk season 2, humorously comparing having made the MCU show to childbirth. Yeah, she was very much about like kind of like, hey man, I just gave birth and I'm still in the hospital. I'm still like dealing with, all that. And so that's the way she sees it. And she's all about, I mean, from what I understand, she's about having a season 2, but it's still.
Well, the next thing on the Marvel slate is Wakanda Forever, and that is only about 3 weeks away.
Correct. Right around the block. So all about it, man.
Yep.
It's going to be great. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think it's going to be a killer. I think it's going to be really good.
I think the beginning is going to be really sad.
Yes, it will. It will be really sad.
Yep.
It will be sad. So, but yeah, Chris, you're right.
Which reminds me, Todd, I'm all about that. Wakanda Forever.
No, don't do that. That makes me uncomfortable.
But so yeah, we should probably wrap things up.
We should.
It is getting late.
Thank you, Renee, for stepping in and letting us start the show close to on time.
Yeah. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to have some more late nights, guys. I mean, work is really getting nuts. So, but I'll try and give you a better update next time, or a better
way. Happily, I have Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, so
okay.
I can always step
most
in.
Of the time.
So, this is true most of the time, not all of the time.
So anyway, but yeah, let's guys, thanks for joining us tonight on our much later and extended episode of Nerds with Alcohol. Guys, be sure to check us out, download us and stream us on all the places you can find quality podcasting, guys, on such as Spotify, the Google
Pretty much
Play
everywhere.
Store, pretty much everywhere. I've been going into them for years, and I'm a little tired of it now. Guys, you can also stream and download all of our episodes at nerdswithalcoholshow.com. Chris puts up the episodes on YouTube as soon as he can. And tell all your friends about us and come see us again.
I feel really bad because last week I totally forgot because I was going out of town, and I totally forgot to get it up, and I didn't get it put up on the website and online until today for last week.
Okay.
So,
well, you're
so we'll have 2 this week. But yeah, you can follow us on most social medias. We're on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, Instagram Drinking Nerds, YouTube Drinking Nerds. Remember, like, subscribe. If you can, follow us here on Twitch. Subscribe if you can. You get access to our Discord channel, where we put some stuff up that's only for our subscribers and Discord users. Like and subscribe on YouTube if you can. That actually doesn't cost you anything. That'll help us out. I'm hoping to get a video up sometime in the next week or so. I've still got my original birthday present from Renee in the basement, in the box, fully sealed, and I want to do another unboxing video for that. It's the cavern system, or it's the caverns for Dwarven Forge. So I want to do an unboxing of that. But yeah, I've also been doing a lot of painting lately too. I did a bunch of painting on the red dragon that I'm working on. So,
all right.
But I think that will about do it for tonight.
I've been attacked by a cat.
I didn't know you had a cat.
It's my housemate's cat.
Nice.
Hi, Stella.
They said hi.
His name is what?
His name is Hermes.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna about do it.
I think that'll do it.
Until next time.
Slancha.
Oh, that doesn't work so good. Nope.
No.
I didn't have 2 glasses. I forgot a second glass tonight. So.
Denied.
Clink. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.